A man's capacity to receive another man's direct criticism is a measure of his capacity to receive masculine energy. If he doesn't have a good relationship to masculine energy, i.g., his father, then he will act like a woman and be hurt or defensive rather than make use of other men's criticism. The Way to the Spirit Man, David Dita. I remember one time during my sophomore year, I was in track, and there's this one guy. I forgot his name. I think it started with a D or something, like Daniel or something like that. We'll just call him Daniel. But he was like a little short guy. He was low-key jacked. He had a lot of testosterone, and like he was very confident. He had like a really hot girl, and but he was kind of like a dick to people, you know. I remember one time when we were doing like because I was a 400 runner and he was also a 400 runner. So I remember one time we were doing like a practice of 8 200s, and by like the fourth one, you know, I wasn't trying to show like any weakness or anything because like this was the time where I was watching David Goggins and stuff like that, and I probably wasn't going all out, you know, because we have eight and stuff like that. So I remember I was just sitting there, like, just quiet. I used to be really shy. I wasn't really confident or anything like that. And I remember he said, "Hey, Mr. Mighty Man, how about you make the time the next time?" And I was like, "Dude, I was already making the time, but you know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna beat you anyways." So, Loki, he was faster than me. He was varsity, and you know, I was JV. So, whatever. But at the end of the thing, like he challenged me, and like, yeah, I got defensive, I got pissed about it, but it made me like get better from it. So I respect what he was doing out there, right? He might have been a dick about it, but by doing so, I challenged myself. Like I got challenged by him and challenged myself to beat him. So I got better at track from doing something harder than I usually would, like on my own. And I feel like a lot of guys need a lot of more of that masculine energy, because I didn't really grow up with that masculine energy because my dad wasn't there, and I had a stepdad who would be there here and there, but then he would eventually have to go off and work for like two weeks, and then come back for like a week, and then another 2 weeks or something like that. So it was very hard to build a relationship with him when I was younger. So I didn't really have that masculine guidance when growing up. But after that, like I think later on during that year, or I think it was my junior year, I was trying to get better at track for the 400. So I went up, go talk to him, and he's actually a really nice guy. You know, he wants to, you know, help out. He gave me some tips on breathing and your form and running and mindset you have. And eventually I did get better, and I was going to be varsity, but then I had to move, and then I was going to be varsity during my senior year, but then I was just like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere with track. I'm not going to college. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. So I only did track for the workouts because I felt amazing and I built a lot of confidence from sprinting. So yeah, but the whole point of the story is that like he challenged me, and I feel like we need a lot more masculine guys out there who have high testosterone and can challenge you for your mediocrity, right? So let's just get straight into the video. It says, your close male friends should be willing to challenge your mediocrity by suggesting a concrete action that you can perform that will pop you out of a rut one way or another. And you must be willing to offer them your brutal honesty in the same way. If you are to grow, good friends should not be tolerating mediocrity in one another, right? So I remember I used to, you know, avoid certain friends because they would call me out for my shit, right? So by doing so, I wasn't really getting that masculine energy. I was being more feminine, because back then I used to be more feminine, used to be more sensitive, not really directive. And over time I started to build that masculine guidance and stuff like that, and started criticizing my friends and the locker room and stuff like that, because I used to, I don't know, like we used to just chat a lot of shit, have fun about it, but like also be like serious about it. Like if we were slacking off, we would call each other out, especially during our cross country group, because I remember we had like this it was at my old school back in Abilene, and low key our cross country team was fucking wild as fuck, but I low key miss them. We were close as fuck, and I think it's weird from going from Abilene to where I am now, and during my senior year, like low key, they didn't have showers, they didn't have our own lockers. It wasn't as, like, we didn't connect as well as I did back in Abilene, because like we had showers, we had like a fucking shower block that was block. It was basically like a prison shower type shit, bro. And like we saw everything. So I think it's better to connect with some guys like that. Is like, you see him every day. We just mess around. We play around. We hurt each other. We like stuff like that. We used to wrestle in the locker room, and I low key miss that, because like we used to challenge each other, be like, "Oh, I bet you can't beat me," or some shit like that, and then we would like fucking see who would win. And low key, I got my ass beat, like I think like 2 or 3 times, but I also won like 2 or 3 times at the same. So I guess I'm like pretty balanced about it. But low key, I had this one friend. He was skinny as fuck, but he had them arms, bro. He was long as fuck. But that's besides the point. But um, if you merely want support from your male friends without challenge, it speaks an unresolved issue you may have with your father. Whether dead or alive, the father force is a force that loves challenging the guidance. Without the masculine force in your life, your direction becomes unchecked. Nice guy act, which you can see the direction you really want to go. Basically, they're just gonna call you out for your bullshit and see where you actually want to go in life, and tell you and help you get out of ruts and shit like that. Choose male friends who themselves are living at their edge, facing their fears and living just beyond them. Men are of this kind can love you without protecting you from the necessary confrontation with reality that your life is involved in. You should be able to trust that your friend will tell you about your life and how they see it, and offer you a specific action which will shed the light on your own position. Basically, they're seeing if you are gonna live up to your full potential, and if you're not living up, they can tell, and they're gonna call you out for it. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Go get better, go grow." And by doing so, you're actually become more free and live beyond your edge. And girls love when you do that shit. First of all, you gain more confidence, your self-esteem goes up because you're growing, you're learning, you're doing all this stuff, chasing your fears. I made a video about that, because chasing your fears is actually the right direction to go. You're gonna be more free, because you're gonna like get rid of all these limiting beliefs and realize that your mind is just bullshit. And after you realize your mind is just bullshit and your mind is just telling you random thoughts, you can finally implement the thoughts that you want into your mind. Like, right, I remember after I ran Lake Overholster, I had so much mental clarity, and I destroyed so many limiting beliefs. Like, I wouldn't even stop. Like, I remember jumping over this fucking huge ass gap because I accidentally went the wrong way. But I was like, okay, fuck. So I really ran and jumped across this lake, and I made it across. I was like, what the fuck? Nothing's stopping me. And I built so much confidence after that. And after that, I was able to network, talk to all these people, because I wasn't in my head, right? I realized that thoughts are just bullshit, and like you're just anxious because you don't feel good and all this stuff. So I made a lot of progress, and I was so fulfilled in life, and that's when I started making these YouTube videos and stuff like that. So it is very good to live at your edge, and I will make a YouTube video about that in the future, and give you the necessary support to live in the freedom just beyond your edge, which is not always or even usually comfortable. So basically, choose your friends who are going to challenge you, help you grow, and help you live up to your full potential, right? Live where your edges, because they're living where their edges, so they know that you can do more, and they know when you're stopping and staying complacent and not growing as a person. So like the video and this helped you, share it with your friends, share it with the boys, so you and them can grow together, so you don't have to replace your friends. You can just help them, be aware of it, and by them being aware of it, they can live up to their full potential. You can start young too. I'm talking, if I started this when I was in middle school or some shit, I would be a fucking Chad by high school, and by high school I'd be a fucking Chad by the real world. Okay, so I wish I learned this when I was younger, or used this properly. I didn't know until I actually experienced it, right? You don't know until you actually experience something, and when you experience it, you know from firsthand how it works, how you do that. That's the fastest way you learn things. So go out there, go make new friends. If you don't have much, share it with the boys, so y'all can help each other out, and so y'all can stay reliable and stuff like that. Stay tuned for the next video, and I love y'all. Bye.